Sunday at 10 a.m. on WFLA News. Andrew Duncan with the Duncan Duo, and we aren't on air at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Just shot a video that'll be up on our YouTube, which is youtube.com/the Duncan Duo, where I talked about the real estate statistics and kind of what I expect to see from the market. But what I want to talk to you about first today is one important point of the statistics that I talk about that I think a lot of people are missing today. I shot a video about a year ago, pre-Helene and Milton, and I said that there were actually two distinct residential real estate markets happening in Tampa, and it was fee simple single-family homes and townhomes versus the condo market, because they were functioning and operating dramatically different. So at the time, and still today, single-family homes are outperforming condos, okay, and townhomes, because townhomes, you own the land underneath, you can get a low down payment loan, and typically you don't have as many obstacles with the associations and boards causing, higher down payments or litigation or not having the proper construction engineering reports on file or any of the things that condos have problems with right now. So condos right now are very saturated and prices are dropping. They're depressing. There are a lot of condo communities with a lot of units on the market, and it's causing prices to drop in those condo communities. So the single family home market is outperforming that simply because of lower down payment opportunities, it being less of a risky investment. You're not giving away of as much of risk in terms of control over your asset or decisions that the HOA make, and certainly insurance as well as state regulations that condos have had to go through and upgrade certain things so that we don't repeat what happened in Miami with buildings collapsing. So anyway, I shot that video about a year ago, and I saw it the other day, and I realized that I wanted to kind of put today's spin on it and talk about how there's really three distinct real estate markets happening right now, and how the blend of them is causing certain products in real estate to be looked down upon when it's the other products that are causing the problems. So for example, I think we now have three kind of distinct sub-markets in the Tampa Bay residential real estate market. The first one is single-family homes and townhomes that were either not damaged by the floods or in areas and neighborhoods that were not damaged by the floods. Those products are actually appreciating. They're still performing pretty well. There are lots of studies and data that can show this, but if you're talking single family and townhomes that weren't damaged or weren't in areas that got damaged, they're performing pretty well. The second part of the market, which is performing the worst, are the single family townhome and condos that were flood damaged, flood impacted, or close to flood damage or flood impact. So what has happened with our average sale prices, I see people saying like, oh, our average sale prices are off from last year. And they certainly are. If you look at last year around this time, I think we're around 507 to 510,000 was the average sale price. Today it's in the 480s. Last month it was the 470. So it has crept up a little bit. It'll continue to do that the further away from the storms that we get, because the more of that inventory that sells at low prices that pulls the average down. So that storm damaged 500,000 house pre-storm that sells for 3.25 pulls the averages down. So eventually enough of that will get sold that it won't impact the market, and hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have the same kind of storm impact this year. So you have the storm damaged, aspect of the market that's performing the worst, and that's simply from a fear standpoint. That's municipalities that are being highly providing high oversight to make sure certain things are done from a construction perspective when homes are rebuilt, permitting, FEMA rules, homes having to get, homes not being able to be rebuilt or upgraded because of some of the FEMA rules. All of that combines in to say that is a segment of the market that is not performing well. And because those homes are selling less than they did before, they're pulling the averages down. So in some instances, you might look at it and say, oh, prices are down in Tampa. But they're down specifically in the flood impacted product, and that's pulling the average prices down everywhere else. So again, the impact is probably worst there. And then the third segment, which would be condos that are not flood impacted. Still not performing the best because there's, high inventory, still a lot of the insurance regulatory stuff, as well as high HOA fees, and then still some of the Florida regulations regarding, building and building codes. So you've got three kind of separations going on right now. If you have a single family home that wasn't flood damaged, but flood damage is close, right? It's also not going to perform as well. The areas that are performing the best, where you're seeing the most value gain and the least depreciation, are single family homes and townhomes in areas that are far enough away and had negligible flood damage or impact in and around that property. So even if you say, oh, my property didn't get damaged, but a bunch in your neighborhood did, it's still going to hurt your asset because those are going to be your comps, and that's going to pull you down. So that's kind of what's going on right now with our real estate market. Really three separate things going on and three different product types that you have to pay attention to. So when you're hiring a real estate agent, you have to hire someone to understand which of those products types you are to put the marketing plan in place, the aggressive marketing plan that's going to get you sold today. If you're selling a property that isn't and wasn't flood damaged or even close to being flood impacted, it is likely performed a little bit better over the last year or two than the other products. So I did review the stats as well. We've had 4,500 home sales the last several months, pretty consistently each month. That's nearly 40% off of peak. So during peak, we were 40% more, 40% less than peak, which means that we were probably more like, we'll need a 50+% gain in transactions to get back to peak. So that tells you fewer transactions. Average sale prices, like I mentioned, we're still off year over year, but we have seen some month over month gains the last few months. Year over year, we're off simply because of that storm hangover. And the further we get away from that, even with high interest rates, the less of an impact we're going to see on depreciation. We're going to start to get back to balance and then eventually, hopefully, some appreciation if we get some relief on rates. But the biggest thing impacting our market is definitely still the hangover from the storms, more so than interest rates, simply because of all of the insurance, the lower comps, the fear that's there. There's no doubt that there are plenty of people that, even though the interest rates are high, they can afford it, but are choosing not to, simply because the hangover from last year's storm and the impact that's still present. So the further we get away from that, the better our market will get. And it's funny, I talked to a friend who runs a real estate team in Louisiana with LPT Realty, and his market over the last 20 years has been impacted a few times by storms. And he told me that it would take about a year and a half, assuming no other economic condition changes, right? Assuming you stay in a similar economic and interest rate environment, it would take about a year and a half for it to get back to really kind of more normal. And so we're not quite there yet. We're a year past the storms, or not quite a year. We're approaching a year, but the further we get away from them, the better the market will work, and the better the market will perform. So again, when we are on air at the Duncan Duo on all the social channels, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I'm the Andrew Duncan on Instagram and Facebook, at the Duncan Duo on X, and or Twitter. What if you still want to call it the old name? It's fine, but at the Duncan Duo on all the socials. I want to remind our listeners too. I have a commercial division of my company, and my commercial agent Grant Holcomb, he runs my commercial division, has really been knocking it out of the park. He's had a couple of multi-million-dollar sales recently. So if you are someone that is thinking about doing commercial real estate, one of the obstacles I've had over the years of the commercial real estate industry is just not getting callbacks. Real estate agents that work commercial, I don't really know, like, if their phones just don't work, or if they're just they're so fat from all the money that they're earning that they just don't answer the phone. But I've had so many struggles personally inquiring about commercial real estate over the years. That's one of the things that I think I can testify about Grant, that if you are interested in buying or selling commercial real estate and you're frustrated because you're not getting callbacks, because the agents don't answer the phone, they don't show up to show you the property, they don't give you any feedback. Grant's got a nice, diverse experience with a variety of different commercial products, from leasing, from retail, warehouse, industrial, automotive, land. We just sold a property on Waters Avenue that I think is going to end up being converted into a car wash. We sold a church recently. So if you are someone that's interested in doing commercial real estate, buying or selling, and you're frustrated with the lack of responsiveness and the lack of energy, which again I have personally experienced many times, just hit up Grant. You can call our office at 813-359-8990. You can text to that same number again, 813-359-8990. If you go to theduncanduo.com and you go to our agent roster, you can look up Grant as well. You can contact him directly, and he would be more than glad to assist you with any commercial real estate needs. But there is no question that is one of the most frustrating things about Grant's job and mine sometimes. When I'm representing my own interest and looking at possible commercial properties, the lack of responsiveness. I think a lot of commercial real estate brokerages are still stuck in the 20th century. From websites, from communication to responsiveness, from texting and AI and all these things. It's wild to me that so much opportunity, so much income and opportunity comes to the commercial real estate space. But phone calls can't get returned, and text messages and emails can't get responded to. It's absolutely baffling to me. So I can 100% testify that the same services and standards that we have in our real estate business for responsiveness, and it's why I have, probably the most, 5-star reviews in Tampa on Google for a real estate company. We're going to have that same kind of responsiveness on commercial with Grant. So if you are struggling, you're unhappy, you've not gotten the response that you deserve, maybe you've got a property that didn't sell, that didn't lease, you're a buyer that's looking for property and you can't get a broker to call you back, hit up Grant. It's an epidemic. It really, really is. It baffles me every day that it's such an enormous industry, and so many of the companies just don't operate. And again, there are some good ones, but there are a lot of them out there where I've called on properties and I've expressed interest, and I'm an end user buyer, and I'm not even worrying about commission. I just want to buy the property, and lack of response, no information, no response, no callback. And I hear it time and time again from my business owner friends. So if you're struggling in that area, we've got you. Again, theduncanduo.com, just scroll and find Grant. Grant Holcomb is his name. If you Google him or call or text us at 813-359-8990. So I want to talk next. There's so much happening in the AI space with real estate. And I want to talk next about our home value tool that's really incorporating AI. And I want to share that with you after I take a quick break. So I'll be back here on the other side after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. So back here on the Duncan Duo Show, talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market, and AI is absolutely changing the game for real estate and real estate marketing. But it's also a slippery slope. Andrew Duncan, the Duncan Duo team, LPT Realty, it's a slippery slope because there's so much editing and video creation abilities that are out there, but it's also a slippery slope because it can make the property not actually look like the property. And you have to be careful. You have to have truth in advertising. If you edit a listing photo to remove everything from the room and then change the colors and do all these things, effectively you're falsely advertising, because that customer is going to show up and be like, wait a second, this isn't the house. There's junk everywhere. So we have clients all the time saying, hey, you can pop this into Grok. You can use Imagine. You can do these things. Look, I use these things every day. But you also have to understand that if you go too far with it, you're going to have really ticked off customers. You're going to have complaints. Your home's not going to sell. People are going to be let down. You can't go so far with the editing that it looks like an animation. Okay, it has to look real. It has to be authentic. It has to represent the property that they're actually getting. So of course you can edit, you can brighten, you can improve saturation, but changing colors and changing floors and moving, moving things around and you can hide the stains in the driveway. The stains in the driveway are still going to be there when somebody buys the home. If I remove the stains and they're there, then they've got a right to cancel or make a claim. So a lot of customers have to understand that it is a very slippery slope when it comes to photo editing right now. But one thing that I think AI has brought to the real estate table that's pretty amazing is the data from a home value perspective. We have a service, and you can go to duncanduo.com. You can type in your address. We're actually using AI data as well as data from every known source out there for home values. So, for example, there's some really big websites that everyone goes to that they look up their home value, okay? And they're using their own data. And a lot of times it's wrong. It's massively wrong. I've sold homes for hundreds of thousands of dollars above those valuations, and I've sold homes for hundreds of thousands of dollars below those valuations. The data is just from one source. What ours does at DuncanDuo.com is we're blending the sources from all of those places, from all the major real estate websites that give out home value, from from other automations, and we're weaving it into AI, and that's how we're determining and updating and keeping you up to date on your value. So we're putting AI to use through our tool with Fellow. So again, if you want the most up-to-date value for your home that uses all the data, just go to DuncanDuo.com. And look, it's not foolproof, okay? AI is not foolproof. It can't replace real estate agents, and it can't actually walk through your house. It's using data. Sometimes it's evaluating images, okay? If there's images of your property out there, it can help with that. But also, we've had people say, hey, value my property. Here's the images from when I bought it. Okay, they bought it 3 years ago, and then we go out to look at the property, and it don't look like it did 3 years ago. Okay, so it's like, I've looked at cars before where the guys tell me, oh, yeah, it's perfect. And then I get out there, and they sent me photos from when they bought it when it was perfect, and now it's beat to crap. Okay, so you have to understand it can only go, the data can only go so far where you still have to have a human element to it, or really, really recent photos and videos that aren't, AI edited to make it look like it doesn't look. Okay, so, but our home value side at DuncanDuo.com, again, it's using AI. It's going to keep you updated. And then we have the human element. So our agents review those home value inquiries, and then we're going to reach out to you. And of course, if you're not interested in selling, that's fine. We're still going to reach out to you to offer you the service of saying, hey, is there anything different about your home, than what public records show? Have you made upgrades or improvements? We're going to try and get you that most accurate value that we can give you, because we're going to take all the AI and all the data that's blended together to give us what we believe is the most accurate value in the marketplace. And we're going to turn around and then add the human element. We're going to make some updates to it. So again, DuncanDuo.com, and that actually works. Our website works for property anywhere in the country. So the service that we use is opted into by agents nationally. So if you did want to sell, we could certainly refer you to an agent in that market. But if you own a property in Chicago or Indianapolis or Los Angeles or New Mexico or Tulsa, no matter where you own a property in the U.S., if you go to DuncanDuo.com, you can type in your address and it's going to spit out a home value for you. And then there's going to be a human that's going to reach out and say, hey, how can I help you? Are you just thinking about it? Are you just, what is it that you're wanting to do? And how can we update your value? What do you think's wrong about it? What are the features of your home that have improved or not improved since you bought it last? So hopefully that can help some people out there get the right data. Everyone wants to know what their home is worth. Everyone wants to know what their neighbor's home sold for. They want to know the goods on the neighbors. Here's another one that we get a lot. I got a neighbor that, your nosy neighbor, right? If you're sitting at home right now and you're curious, are any of your neighbors in foreclosure? Have any of your neighbors been missing their mortgage payments? That's all information you can get if you plug in your address at DuncanDuo.com. It's gonna give you kind of the landscape of the neighborhood, and you're going to be able to poke around and see some information about what's going on in the hood. So, and if you're a real estate agent, it's a tool that we offer to everyone that joins our company. It is an incredible tool that allows our agents to communicate better with their clients, keep them updated on interest rates, which we know there's going to be some changes to that in the future, as well as just an extra tool to keep real estate information that's sticky and valuable with their own customized dashboard in front of their clients. So if you're a real estate agent, you don't have that. Maybe you're unhappy where you are. Maybe you're looking for a new opportunity. We're definitely in growth mode. We're adding agents every single month. You can go to jointheduo.com. You can reach out to me on any of the socials, and you can apply directly for an open position. You can also set an appointment on our calendar to have a consultation, private, confidential consultation about what it is that we do differently and why we are going to thrive regardless of what's happening in the marketplace. But I want to preface that by saying that we want real estate agents that are going to work. If you're somebody that just, that just wants money to rain from the ceiling, we're not the place for you. We're the place that money can rain from the ceiling, but you're going to have to do the work. So if you're a worker, if you're a team player, you want to be part of something bigger and special, and you're not achieving the success that you want, we want to help you get there. We want to hold you accountable to your own goals. So just hit us up at jointheduo.com. We'll be back after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. You know, it's funny. I shot a video the other day. I posted it on my Instagram story. And again, Andrew Duncan, the Duncan Duo team, LPT Realty. And I thought it was funny because if you're a real estate agent listening to this, you'll completely understand. If you're not a real estate agent, but you're friends with real estate agents and you witness what they do online or, you know, the groups that they're in or their comments online, I have friends that own a variety of different businesses. And one of the things I think is really funny about the real estate business that I want to share with our listeners, whether you're a real estate agent or not, is that real estate agents have these groups, like these Facebook groups, right? And what it basically is half the time is people asking for help or asking what they should do. And then a bunch of comments from people that really don't know what they're doing because they're on Facebook during the day instead of actually working and growing a business. But the one that cracks me up the most is the one where so someone will make a post about a real estate agent. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's someone else. Everyone will critique and tell them what they're doing wrong. And most of the time, the people critiquing them and doing wrong are not actually operating at a high level. They're not succeeding. So I just think it's laughable that you have this entitlement in real estate where real estate agents think that they have an entitlement to tell people they're actually succeeding in doing the business what they should be doing differently. It's laughable. And I talked to my other business owner friends, and if you're a business owner, I'm sure this may ring true with you, but you really don't see that in other industries. Like I've owned other companies and have friends in other companies, and there aren't like Facebook or social media groups for like, contractors or plumbers or AC companies where AC company employees go on and talk trash about other AC company employees and tell them how to run their AC business, or plumbers plumbers social groups where, they sit on because they're actually out working. The reason the real estate industry has such a high failure rate is because so many of them aren't working because they're sitting online making comments on Facebook groups about other realtors and not actually doing any work. The plumbers and the AC people and the contractors, they got jobs to do. They're out there working. They're not sitting around all day doing nothing. They're actually calling their clients. They're going on meetings. They're busy. So it's funny, like people say, oh, why is the success so bad in real estate agent? Why do so many people fail? And I honestly think it's because half of them sit on Facebook groups all day and just talk trash and waste their time. It's not productive. You're not making any business. They're your competitors. Like you're not getting better doing that. You're not helping your clients. It's just laughable. So, but I'm curious, if you're a business owner, maybe I'm wrong. I talked to a few of my friends that are business owners, and I've owned businesses in some of those niches. If you're a business owner, are there AC company Facebook groups or other AC companies talk trash about other AC companies, or like plumbers or contractors or lawyers or insurance agents? Like, I don't think it exists the same in other industries. I think real estate is unique in that it's sometimes a bit interesting with that. So, one unique thing about real estate that I always get challenged with is when you have someone who really doesn't do much business, but then they want to tell you everything that you need to do differently because clearly they have it all figured out. So anyway, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. I talked in the first segment about the real estate statistics and how I think Tampa Bay has three unique markets right now. The flood impacted, the non-flood impacted, single family and townhomes, and then separately condos. So our market, it's a bit confusing sometimes when you try and blend all that together and kind of make a general statement about what's going on. But the storms and then the stuff that's happened with condos kind of segmented out each of those into sub-markets. So it's definitely unique. And then the last segment, I talked about our home value tool at duncanduo.com, where we're using AI as well as blending the data from every single source that we can find. And so if you want the most accurate home value assessment for your home, where we can actually we can overcome the data inaccuracies. So with human element. So there's times where people go online and will say, oh, well, I went onto your website and it's wrong. Well, great. Then we can go in and update it. Let's have a conversation. We can update your value so that it's being conveyed properly and appropriately if anyone ever looks it up or gets curious, at least in our website. So there's a human element because, again, data and AI aren't perfect. If you've used them and tried to edit an image and then it blurs somebody's face or it gives them 7 fingers, it's not perfect yet. It's getting better every day, but it's not perfect. It's the same thing with real estate data. All these data sources that pull all this data together, it's not perfect. So sometimes we'll have customers plug it in, and if it's not accurate, let us know. We'll work on making it more accurate and helping you get the most accurate the most accurate value for your home, again, at duncanduo.com. So what's next for home prices in Tampa Bay? Look, there's no secret. I've talked about this a lot. If you're a home seller selling your home right now, you have to be very aggressive with your price. The idea that you can speculate and put it at a high number when prices are dropping in a lot of neighborhoods and when the averages and the statistics all point in a not a great direction. I think a lot of that swings back the other way next year and the following year. That's my opinion. If we get property tax relief, if we get capital gains tax relief, if we get interest rate relief, all these things could point towards 26 or 27 being really good real estate years. But there's still some risk out there. But right now, if you have to sell your home, if you need to sell right now, you're going to have to be aggressive on your price. But you have to understand, if you're selling to buy, you can be aggressive with what you buy too, because then you get the advantage on the buy side that you don't get on the sell in most circumstances. So if you're selling and it's not moving, it's the price. Okay, I have personal properties on the market right now. If I put them on and they haven't moved in a month, I'm lowering the price. If you're not doing the same thing as a seller and you're sitting at that same price, you're missing the market and the market is dropping. And by the time you drop your price, you're going to be behind it. Somebody in your neighborhood is going to undercut you. They're going to be more motivated or be in a better equity position, and they're going to undercut you, and they're going to be the next one that sells. So price is everything right now. And I don't think in Tampa Bay, prices will have any kind of dramatic movement in the fall. Buyers have more options. Inventory grows in the fall. Prices could rise slowly in some markets. I don't see much of that happening in Tampa. We could see some month-over-month improvement. But annually, I think we're still going to be off annually on our average and median prices because we still have the hangover from the storms. But a recent study said that even 6% mortgage rates would leave things out of reach for most consumers. Of course, where they're at right now is high sixes. If we get down to 6 by the end of the year, will it help the market? Of course it will. But are we going to see peak type transaction numbers and value increases? No, because it still keeps things out of reach. This study said that rates would need to drop to 4.4% for a typical home to be affordable for someone making the median income. Now, keep in mind, this is nationally. Our market doesn't necessarily mirror nationally. But if buyers are waiting for big drops in mortgage rates or prices to help affordability, they're in for a rude awakening. It's not happening anytime soon. And the reality is when interest rates do drop, prices will dramatically rise. We're certainly not going to see interest rates massively cut this year, unless there is some sort of political shakeup that removes the Fed chair and multiple Fed governors. The last time I looked, there were only 2 dissenting people. The majority of the Fed governors felt rates should still be down. And while interest rates in the mortgage market aren't completely tied to the Fed, they do have some impact. So, for example, if the Fed lowers rates a quarter point or maybe a half point by the end of the year, of course, it's going to have some positive impact, but it's not going to have some massive swing. The massive swing could come maybe by 26 or 27, depending on, replacement Fed chair and how aggressive the Fed rate cuts are. Certainly, there could be some negative ramifications from that as well, which I think has kept the Fed from doing it so far. But the affordability with high rates is still an obstacle that's going to keep our market probably similar to where it is, and we're not going to see huge swings in price. We're not going to see huge swings up. We're not going to see huge swings down. It's going to kind of be stable. But I think in a lot of neighborhoods, we'll see a little bit of appreciation, and in a lot, we'll see a little bit of depreciation. So it really is going to be neighborhood dependent for the rest of the year. And like I said before, earlier in the show, it's also going to be dependent on, did that area have impact from Helene and Milton or not? And how far away from the impact is it that comps for, that there are no comps in there that are storm impacted or flooded or pulling the comps down or discouraging buyers from buying into those neighborhoods. So there's no question that all has an impact. I also want to talk to people about flood insurance. Look, we're there. It's the season. All right. Storm season is upon us. The next few months are peak. We've already seen Dennis Phillips out there talking about, some depressions and things going on out in the ocean. Nothing imminent, at least for Tampa Bay now, but I can't encourage people enough to get flood insurance if they don't have it. You need it. It is catastrophic if you don't have it and you have a major impact. The majority of the, not the majority, but a large percentage of the people that were impacted by Helene and Milton did not have flood insurance and got crushed. It is not a lot of money. I believe that if you were a homeowner today, you can find a way to afford flood insurance. Most people can. Okay. Of course, if you're if you're not making your payments, you're delinquent or something, of course, you may not be able to. But if you can't afford it, you can cut out the trips to Starbucks, maybe buy some generic groceries, maybe take a few less trips in your car, carpool, whatever you can do to kind of get a budget to where you can afford it. If it's not required for you, if you're not in a flood zone, it won't be as expensive. It's more expensive for people that are in a flood zone. If you have a mortgage and you're in a flood zone, you pretty much have to have it, or they will force place it on your property. But flood insurance is just, it's vital. It's crucial. There's so many people that need it. And every time we have a bad storm in Florida and I see the amount of people that get crushed that didn't have it, and I think to myself, man, I bet they wish for those hundreds of thousands that they lost that they'd have spent $500 or $700 on flood coverage if they're in a non-flood zone, because that's probably the range that it is for the average home that's not in a flood zone. Maybe 1,000 even. Even so, I think most people that own a home can afford that if they tighten up some other things, and it is a lifesaver should things happen and go south with a storm. Hopeful we don't have it. We may again. And now is also the time to kind of do all the prep stuff. Get your generator cleaned up, get your stuff in line, get everything you can possibly do to prepare your property. Batteries, plywood, sandbags, you name it. Now is the time to get that stuff together. So if you're somebody that preps, start the prep now. If you want to buy materials the day before the storm, you're gonna be short. Get ahead of it now. Avoid the rush. Buy the stuff that you're going to need now, because if you wait until there's a storm out there, it'll be too late. And the same goes for insurance. We'll have people that'll wait until there's a named storm. Once there's a named storm out there, the carriers aren't writing anything. You got to do it before storm season. So hopefully that's helpful to you, and you make those proper steps. You get prepared. And I would love for us not to have any impact this year, but unfortunately, we probably will have some. Just depends on how much the impact is. We'll be back. We're going to wrap up the show with our last segment after a quick break here on WFLA News. So we're back here on the Duncan Real Estate Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. And if you are a long-term real estate investor in residential real estate, you buy and own rental properties, Andrew Duncan, the Duncan Duo team, LPT Realty, I think now is probably one of the best times to acquire those assets that we've seen. And look, rates are a little high if you're financing. If you're cash, great. But if your financing rates are a little high, so that puts a spin on things. But when you compare what Florida offers and Tampa Bay offers to other parts of the country, first off, you can't avoid taxes, obviously, but Florida investors come close. No state income tax and a middle of the road property tax percentage. Operating costs stay low and manageable. The insurance, certainly with flood insurance, can be an obstacle for some. But I think long-term assets that you're buying right now, you get a great opportunity to buy at discounted prices because the market is soft, rates are high. You can negotiate on price. When the market prices go up, which I think they will in 26 and 27, I think a lot of the people that buy right now will be sitting pretty and do incredibly well, especially if they buy for the long haul. Because that's what rental property owners do. Their goal is not to acquire properties to turn around and sell them in a year. They want to buy them and own them for life. And I think we will get back to appreciation. We will get back to lower rates, certainly not as low as we had during COVID, assuming hopefully we don't ever have that again. But Florida is number 2 in the country when it comes to landlord friendliness. Okay. So you may look at other parts of the country and think, man, the prices are doing great there. I don't have to worry about floods there. But some of the nice things about Florida for landlords, they don't mess around when rent goes unpaid. Landlords can serve tenants a 3-day notice for non-payment, and the eviction case is typically resolved within 2 to 4 weeks. There's also no rent control. And presently, decreasing home prices and still massive demand for people that want to rent. So it is one of the most landlord-friendly states in the country. We're a landlord-friendly market. If you're buying for the long term, it is a great opportunity to buy, rental property here because of those things. The rent control is a big one. Some of the most landlord-unfriendly states, California has strict rent caps, high income taxes, costly squatter protections that turn rental ownership into an uphill march. New York, rent control, just cause eviction laws, tenant-friendly courts. Same New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, Maryland, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Connecticut. You probably make an assumption when I name every one of those states about what the political environment is there. But those are the 10 worst states to own real estate from a rental property standpoint are. If you look at the 10 best in the country, you've got Florida, Arizona, Indiana, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, again, very, very conservative. So if you're a landlord and you want to own property in one of the states that is much more challenging, probably not the greatest place to invest your money. Florida is a great opportunity. Texas, obviously, is a great opportunity. And that's something we do. We have agents that specialize in that. So if you're somebody that wants to acquire rental properties, I can tell you right now, it's the same thing with the stock market. It's the same thing with any market. The best opportunities are the ones that are on the market. So when we work with rental property investors, a lot of times we're trying to find them stuff that isn't out there anywhere else, that is off market, that we have an exclusive opportunity with. Maybe we know the seller. Maybe one of our people has a fund that owns a lot of property. So that's something that we can help landlords do. Certainly we can help them make offers on stuff that hits the market. We can call brokers. We can set up MLS searches. But the thing I think that we offer the most, and this is to both commercial and people looking to buy rental property, is kind of doing that bird dog work to find you opportunities that no one else knows about. Those are the best opportunities on the market. Enormous database, 207,000 people in our database, so we can cross-reference and search by the property types that are owned by them to try and find off-market opportunities for investors that we represent. So if that's something you're looking for, if you're a landlord, you want to acquire more properties, hit us up at theduncanduo.com. Again, that's theduncanduo.com. Submit us an inquiry. You can also call or text us at 813-359-8990. And again, we are hiring real estate agents. So if you're a real estate agent listening and you're not having the success that you want, you're not hitting the sales numbers that you want, and you want to work, because that's the key. This is not the market for money to rain from the ceiling. Okay. This isn't the market where everyone can get in and, anyone with a pulse can sell a house. This is a market where you can be successful. And if you establish the right principles and work ethic and the right system now at the right team and operation, and you lean into accountability and structure, this is the time to prepare yourself to start doing well now, but to really crush it in 26 and 27 when the market starts sprinkling economic improvements on top of what the habits that you form now that will allow you to really prosper then. If you're in it for the long game, we would love to talk to you. Again, you can hit up jointheduo.com. Again, that's jointheduo.com. And like I mentioned, I believe we will see 26 and 27, potentially some record-breaking real estate stuff based on everything that's being discussed. Some of the legislation, the tax relief, the interest rate relief, all those things I think are pointing towards us seeing better times in real estate in 26 and 27. And a lot of people will wait until then to start doing the work, and they'll be behind. If you start doing the work now, you get to the right place now, you can set yourself up for a long and prosperous real estate career by making those choices now. So if that's you, if you want to change, or if you're just thinking about it, you know what, I've been thinking about real estate for a while. I think markets like this are the best long-term time to get into real estate because you're going to get the right habits and principles. You're going to work hard. You're going to reach out to your clients. You're going to stay in touch. You're going to grind, and you're going to establish that work ethic. And then when the market sprinkles its economic goodness on us in 26 and 27, on top of the fundamentals that you have, you'll succeed. So if that's you, jointheduo.com. We'd love to set up a confidential consultation with you, or you can directly apply for any of our open positions. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have an awesome rest of your Sunday, Tampa Bay.